And I just want to say that I know that they have been harassed, and I hope you pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Mr. Eddy?
Mr. Mayor, I see no other hands up. Joyce, we got one more in here. You're beyond the 15 minutes, but I don't know.
We'll call one more. Joyce, go ahead, please.
Joyce, if you unmute and give your name and address, please.
Thank you. This is Joyce Euler, 1121 Evans Lane. First of all, I would like to say it's really tricky to make community comment this way. I was really struggling to find the meeting online and to be able to speak. And everyone tonight seems to be speaking in support of this resolution tonight, and certainly we all care deeply about Asian people. I don't think this resolution is going to actually help any Asian people in any concrete way. I believe that I speak for the silent majority of this community who do not want the City Council involved in all these social statements. We want you to fix our potholes, and that is something you actually have the power to do. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Joyce. Charity?
I see no more hands up. Again, if you wish to speak during public comments, if you could raise your hand virtually, we'll call on you. But at this time, Mr. Mayor, I see no more hands up.
Okay, last call for public comments. We're going to close public comments and move on with the rest of our meeting this evening. Under unfinished business, bring 5A, the proposed resolution condemning violence against the Asian Pacific Islander American community. With that, we have a letter from a Hmong neighbor of Ryland Erdmans, and Ryland sent us a copy of the letter, and we got it in the pack. So the council should have that this evening. Looks similar to that. And also then we've got a letter from the Chancellor in Stout, Catherine Frank. And I'm just going to take a moment and read this. I think it has equity. Dear Mayor, Kanack City Manager Prang, and City Council members, UW Stout is a proponent of community-wide efforts to support all marginalized communities, including the Asian Pacific Islander, Desi American, APIDA community. At Stout, our commitment to equality, diversity, and inclusivity is called out in our current mission statement. And at Stout, we value the nobility of spirit and diversity of people, respect and inclusion for all. While the recruitment and retention of diverse faculty, staff, and student population is dependent on the university's efforts, it is also reliant on the experience of our faculty, staff, and students that they have in Menomonie community. Efforts that support all members of our community, and especially those from marginalized populations, are critical. The university values our strong relationship with the Menomonie community and is committed to working together towards continuous improvement and efforts to foster a more inclusive living, learning, and working environment. Well, it was nice for the Chancellor to write us a letter for that. I also, personally, I thought we had all inclusivity in our previous resolution. However, we do have a resolution in front of the council this evening that was drafted for you, and I'm going to open up for dialogue from council or a motion.
This is the checkers game where grandson
Ryan, go ahead, please.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution condemning violence against Asian and Pacific Islander American community.
Okay, thank you, Ryland. Motion made by Ryland. Is there a second? We've got a number of hands up. Who got their hand up first? Mary, you got your hand up first. Go ahead, Mary.
I will second Ryland's motion.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. Discussion. Okay, seeing none. All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. Moving on to 6A. Under new business, proposed 2021A bonds, discussion and possible resolution adoption. We have Sean Lentz also with us this evening. We'll need a motion to waive the rules so that he can speak. So if somebody'd like to make a motion. Go ahead, Lee.
Also make that motion.
And Jeff Luther.
I'll second Lee's motion.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that opens up the line then to Sean Lentz and Lowell will bring us up to speed on this. That brings us down to 6A. The first one is the initial resolution of the City of Menomonie, Wisconsin relating to the issuance of general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $1,515,000 for the city's 2021-2022 street improvement program. Mr. Prangy?
First off, a lot of paperwork in your pack, so there's, I believe, 6 resolutions, 5 resolutions we need to address this evening, 6, I guess. Also, we have the CIP in there that was presented back in December. It's been slightly tweaked, but I think the council endorsed it at that time back during the budget process late last year. And again, those projects are in front of you for consideration this evening, / authorizing the administration to move forward with the borrowings that would finance these different projects, and again, some refinancings that will be involved that are being proposed by the financial advisors. So Mr. Lentz is available this evening and probably can go through the resolutions and the pre-sale reports that were sent out late today. Again, there was a revised document. We went through it with them earlier today. Sean made a couple tweaks to it, and so if you look in your emails, there should be another set of 2 different documents with that email. But Randy's also going to pull it up on the screen here, so hopefully you can see it as well.
I didn't know if Sean wanted to turn his camera on before he addresses this, or are we just going right to the documents, Mr. Lentz?
Yeah, Randy, I'm at my residence, and with my 3 daughters using the Wi-Fi, I usually find less video results in a better performance. So I'll proceed with just sharing the screen.
Going right to the screen then, Sean.
Okay,
I got
perfect.
it. I got you.
We wanted to see what color pajamas you had on.
I've got my Packer gear on. You know that. I always have my Packer gear.
Of course you do.
So, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. As Lowell alluded to in his preface there, the Council has seen the capital improvement plan, and as I've discussed it with Randy and with Lowell, we put the projects into 2 categories: general obligation bonds and general obligation notes. The bonds are primarily projects that have a longer useful life, so more in the streets, fire truck, park type projects. The notes, which we'll talk about in a second here, they deal more with the city's equipment and shorter useful life capital needs. So under Wisconsin statutes, as they currently are, we place the projects into the categories that the statutes allow us for the best fit. The bonds are paid back over a 20-year period, and the notes are paid back over a 10-year period. They'll be fully paid back over those terms. So starting with the bond issue, and Randy, if I can have you go back to Exhibit 1 of this document.
You have a page number, or is it way at the end?
We got one more text page, and I think we're there. This is the last text page, and then we're there. There we go. Perfect. So, as we were putting together the financing, and thank you for enlarging it as well, we put together the new money projects, which you have 3 resolutions that you'll be asked to act on tonight to start the bonding process. And they fall into the categories of financing for street improvements, park improvements, and a fire truck. So those are the new money projects. And then also in looking at the existing debt, there were 2 issues. We've attached one to the bond issue and one to the note issue that made some sense to refinance because lower interest rates are available. We expect to receive what's called a premium bid. Most bidders today are paying more to buy the bonds than what you're asking for, and they pay a premium. So we want to use that premium to help pay off some of this old debt faster and achieve interest savings by doing so. So to the streets, parks, and fire new money, we've added the refunding as well to help save some dollars and use the likely premium bid. And finally, as I show you in a second, we have an overall strategy of having the city's debt levy be approximately 1.9 million for this issue and all the other issues that you were repaying. And refinancing helps us achieve those structuring long-term payment goals. Currently, you'll see the interest rates. Those are based on current market conditions plus about 25 basis points. And as I mentioned, the issue would be fully repaid over the next 20 years. Randy, can we go to the next page then? Exhibit 2. Great, thank you. So, Exhibit 2, we've been working with city staff. We want to be cognizant of the limits of using our borrowing options under Wisconsin law. The red line that you see at the top of this exhibit is the state's limit on general obligation borrowing capacity for Menomonie. And the limit is 5% of the equalized value of the entire city. The blue bars are the principal outstanding on all existing debt, general obligation debt of the city, plus these new issues that we're talking about today, the bonds, and we'll get to the notes here in a second. I think the city is in a very good position in terms of this analysis. You've used up about 50% of the borrowing capacity, a little less than that, right around 50%. And as you can see, over time, we've paid debt back. The capacity will widen. Likely that red line, instead of being very flat, as we're showing it now, will trend upward. So this was a number that in years past, and it's been quite a few years now, that it was a little tighter for the city. We're in a much stronger position as the city's growth has continued. All right, Randy, can we go to the next exhibit, please? Finally, the last exhibit here, and probably the most important, is the repayment impact of the new issues as well as all of the existing debt that the city has outstanding using general obligation debt. This year, 2021, our total principal and interest that were on your general fund budget was about $1,975,000 approximately. In talking with city staff, we've targeted $1.9 million for 22 and 23. And as Lowell had mentioned, the borrowings we're talking about today will cover your capital improvements this year and next year. We've been doing, last few times now, we've done borrowings every other year rather than the city doing issues every year, which I think has worked well for the city. Then you'll see the levy go down a little bit in 24 through 27, and we expect to probably layer in new debt in that 23 to 23 for 23 and 24, 25 for 25, 26 and beyond. And then gradually, as you get out into the later years, you can see that levy drops. The one change to that, or the one difference to that, is the 2030 levy. And what that is, just as the council might remember, last year you had the opportunity to purchase the building you're in and do some improvements to it. That debt, under Wisconsin statute, had to be financed with notes. So we had to amortize the debt, we had to repay the debt, show the repayment in 10 years. What we chose to do is put a balloon payment in the 10th year, in this case 2030, with the intention that we'll extend that at a later time when that note is callable. So we won't have that spike up, is what I'm saying. In the long run, we'll deal with that and extend it over a longer period of time. But the reason for this downward trend in the city's debt is that as you have ongoing capital needs, on your every other year CIP plan, you will have capacity to add additional debt without having the levy or the debt mill rate, which is the payments divided by the equalized value of the city, be spiking up. So there's some strategy to it in what we're trying to plan for into the future. Okay. Well, with that, before maybe going to questions, Mayor, if it's okay with you, maybe we can jump over to the note pre-sale report just briefly. There's only one exhibit I wanted to highlight in there.
Go ahead, Sean. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. So, as I mentioned, the note issue will be fully paid back in a 10-year period of time. We do have some refinancing, again, as I discussed, for structuring and savings purposes at the front end over the next couple years that we're including. And then we have a levy portion for projects that are shorter useful life and would be paid back over the 10-year period. And then stormwater, that's also included there. There's some stormwater projects that the stormwater utility will make the payments for over the next 10 years. And the debt is structured with higher payments the first 2 years, then a little bit lower payments 24 through 26, and then more level payments at the end. Again, that's to fit into that previous exhibit structure where we have the overall debt, keeping the payments pretty much around that $1.9 million a year, but in later years starting to decrease with the understanding that it's likely the city will have to do ongoing capital projects in the future as well. Randy, can you go back one page? And I'll just finish up. There we go. Just the timeline there at the top. Thank you. So the timeline, tonight we wanted to introduce the borrowing plan for the capital improvement plan for the council, get your feedback. There are a number of resolutions that are required under the statutes to begin the bonding process, and those will be up on your agenda next. Then we'll get what we call our official statement put together, working with city staff on that. We will also have another meeting with the rating agency, Standard & Poor's. We'll meet with them, talk about both the existing plan of finance as well as the city's overall financial situation. All leading up to a June 7th date, where the morning of June 7th, we will take proposals, competitive bids on the note and bond issue. We will then put sale day reports and bring those for your review on the evening of June 7th to discuss. And if approved at that time by the City Council, the closing will be a few weeks later. And then, as I mentioned, those refundings that we have, we'll be paying those off in early July. So with that, Mayor, I think I'll turn it back to you for any questions from the council or yourself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. I think 1.9, that's doable. We've been kind of looking at those kind of payments in the past. I think that's kind of our norm, isn't it, Mr. Prangy?
That's correct. Yes, that's our.
Well, that's kind of our stable line is that 1.9 area that we. So, and I really have to applaud the council and the staff on doing a great job around the city. You know, none of these funds are frivolously spent. If you look around, I think the city has done great investment in our city. So, with that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Prangy.
No, I think again, Sean went over it. I guess if there's specific questions from council members, otherwise there's 6 resolutions that you have before you that would need to be adopted to proceed. I guess the only comment is we're still looking at some numbers. Stormwater-wise, there may be a slight modification. There could be maybe a little bit in the equipment, but they all would be downward. So.
Downward, yeah.
Okay, great. So, and each one of these has to be motioned separately. So, is there any questions from council going into this to start with? If not, I would invite the council to make a motion for the following. 6A, initial resolution of the City of Menomonie, Wisconsin, relating to the issuance of general obligation bonds in the amount of not to exceed of $1,515,000 for the city's 2021-2022 street improvement program. If anybody would like to make a motion regarding that, that'd be great. that a hand?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry, I got several screens up here, and I couldn't find the mute button or unmute button. I'll make that motion for not to exceed 1.515 million.
Great. Thank you, Lee. Is there a second to Lee's motion? Robin, go ahead, please. Robin, go ahead, please. Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Luther,
Yes.
Traxler,
Yes.
Sweeney,
We'll have to come back to Robin. Sure.
Schwebs,
Yes.
Merrill,
Yes.
Solberg,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld,
Yes.
Sweeney,
Yes.
Great. Okay, thank you. That brings us into the next one on our list. Initial resolution of the City of Menomonie, Wisconsin relating to the issuance of general obligation bonds in the amount of not to exceed $190,000 for parks and public ground improvements. Council, if anybody has any questions or if anybody would like to make a motion, open the floor. Nathan, go ahead, please.
I would like to make a motion approving the resolution for $190,000 for parks and public grounds.
Okay, thank you. Motion's been made by Nate Merrill. Is there a second? Go ahead, Ryan.
I'll second Nate's motion.
Okay, great. Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Traxler,
Yes.
Sweeney,
Yes.
Schwebs,
Yes.
Merrill,
Yes.
Solberg,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh, you
Jeff.
forgot
Luther.
Jeff.
I had to do it one last time, Jeff.
Is that a yes, Jeff?
Yes, that was a yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that brings us down to the initial resolution of the City of Menomonie, Wisconsin relating to the issuance of general obligations bonds in the amount not to exceed $620,000 for the acquisition of a fire engine. Council? Okay, go ahead, Mary.
I would make a motion that we approve the resolution for the city of the issuance of general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $620,000 for the acquisition of a fire engine.
Great, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Go ahead, Jeff.
I'll second Mary's motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Sweeney,
Yes.
Schwebs,
Yes.
Merrill,
Yes.
Solberg,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Traxler,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That brings us down to the initial resolution providing for the issuance and sale of general obligation refunding bonds in the approximate amount of $975,000 of the City of Menomonie, Wisconsin. Mary, your hand is up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't take it down.
Oh, well, you can keep it up if you want. You can put it back up
Well,
again.
okay. I would make a motion to approve the resolution providing for the issuance and sale of the general obligation refunding bonds in the approximate amount of $975,000.
Great. Thank you for the motion. Is there a second? Go ahead, Randy.
I'll second Mary's motion.
Okay, thank you, Randy Summerfield. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Schwebs,
Yes.
Merrill,
Yes.
Solberg,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Traxler,
Yes.
Sweeney,
Yes.
Thank you. Brings us down to the resolution providing for the issuance and sale of general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2021A of the City of Menomonie, Wisconsin. Council? Go ahead, Lee.
I'll make a motion motion for the sale of general obligation corporate bonds pursuant bond series 2021A.
Okay, very good, thank you. Is there a second to Lee's motion? Mary, your hand's up.
I'll second Lee's motion.
Great, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Merrill,
Yes.
Solberg,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Traxler,
Yes.
Sweeney,
Yes.
Schwebs,
Yes.
Great, thank you. Great, that takes us down to 6B, proposed 2021B promissory notes, discussion and possible resolution adoption. Resolution providing, that's resolution, proposed 2021B promissory notes, okay. Council? Does anybody want to make a motion? We're at a stalemate. Go ahead, Lee.
Okay, I'll make the motion for the series 2021B.
Very good, thank you. Is there a second to Lee's motion? Ryland, you got your hand
I'll
up.
second Lee's motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Solberg,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yes.
Traxler,
Yes.
Sweeney,
Yes.
Schwebs,
Yes.
Merrill,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Brings us down to 6C, concept presentation regarding the relocation of State Highway 29 from Main Street to 6th Avenue. Thank you, Sean, by the way, for being on with us. I think are we through with Sean? We are through with Sean. Thank you very much for being here this evening.
Thanks, Sean.
Yes.
Certainly, he most certainly can stay, but
You can stay too, sure.
No, I appreciate that. No, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.
Very good. Appreciate your help. Okay, so that takes us down to 6C, concept presentation regarding the relocation of State Highway 29 from Main Street to 6th Avenue. Just a little bit of background. The staff has looked at this. It's been requested by several businesses downtown. Sometimes folks are out dining on Main Street or otherwise, and big trucks are using our Main Street, and we're looking at a new way to route some of the heavy trucks down through our city, down through Menomonie. So, and with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Eide.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So this map, I think it's on your screen, council members, is something you're probably very familiar with. What's great about Menomonie is we have a number of highways crisscrossing right in the downtown area. The green line is Highway 25 going north and south. We got in blue State Highway 29 going east and west. And then we have US Highway 12 running east and west also. As the mayor kind of alluded to, we've had some discussion and some feedback from business and personnel altogether, talking about the large amount of truck traffic and the noise on the Main Street portion of State Highway 29, primarily in the first 4 blocks from Broadway going east of 4th Street. Our designated truck route takes traffic up around to 6th, but again, that's a designated truck route. It's not enforceable at this time for the police to enforce that traffic, so we do get a lot of truck traffic going through the city on Main Street. One option to enforce this section of Main Street would be to request that highway designation be moved, and one suggestion is to move it up to 6th to follow the truck route. So to take any highway designation off of that section of Main Street, which you can see on the slide, the pros and cons of that. Pros being that section would be under local control, less traffic on Main Street, and then we could control the truck traffic by weight restrictions or other methods, like no through traffic, no truck traffic through there if we wish. Some of the cons, again, less traffic. There are businesses there. No state funding in the future for Main Street repairs. It'll cost us some money to upgrade this section. and then increase traffic on the 6th Avenue. This is one option. Lowell and I took this option to the downtown Main Street board, explained it to them back in January, I believe, January 20th of 2021. And then in your packet, there's minutes back from that board saying they supported this move to move designated State Highway 29 up to 6th. There's a formal process to the DOT. If this body agrees with this recommendation, we would forward a letter to the DOT, and the DOT then would look at the cost, the changes, or anything else what else has to be done to 6th Street to make this move effective. And then it would come back to this body to decide if you want to move forward. So it's a process. This would be step 2 or 1 or 2 of it if you want to move forward. So we're putting it on the council's agendas for your discussion and maybe direction, if you wish.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Eddie. Did everybody kind of understand what we're doing and we're trying to do? Part of the problem is, and this doesn't just allow, this isn't just for one type of vehicle. I know some trucks, pit pumpers or otherwise, or great big semis and so forth, use that corridor quite a bit. It's the process. It's not going to happen overnight. Like Mr. Eddie said, we have to submit to the state and so forth and so on. But before they go to all that work and spin their wheels, we kind of want to find out what the council would think about this idea. So I'll open up the floor. Mr. Eddie, you had something to add?
I just, the timing, this is probably several years long, and going back and forth with the DOT, probably 2 to 3 years out at the quickest, maybe 2 years at the quickest. So it's not going to happen overnight, but this would start looking at that redesignation if we want to move forward.
Great. Thank you.
This
Mr.
is Lowell, just a couple comments too. So this is a jurisdictional transfer, so the DOT would also look at the value of the roads involved and put a number to those, and that's where Randy was talking about. There could be some costs to the city to do upgrades on Main Street, or depending on what that trade value would look like. So that's a assumption that would need to be worked on, or a number that would have to be worked on. And just, again, the city recognized this 20 years ago whenever the streets were put in downtown. That's why the alternate route was provided under a prior administration. Again, it's just not, we aren't enabled to enforce it because it is a state federal highway and we do take highway aids, and so we would have to literally remove that designation from that section of Main Street to get the trucks off that stretch of road.
And realizing also that not everybody's going to be happy with this. There might be another street light or a stop light on Crescent and 6th. There's also maybe some parking that might disappear in that area. So it's up for discussion, possible motion of direction. And that's kind of where we're at tonight. So any feedback? Nate, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I guess like you, I just wanted to open up for discussion. I can see the pros, I can see the cons. I think it would be cool to have a tucked away little section of Main Street that was a bit quieter. But at the same time, we aren't going to completely eliminate traffic. But thinking about Crescent, removing some parking, adding a stoplight, that seems like a good plan, because otherwise I see that section just getting insanely backed up. If you get a couple of semis looking to turn, then they're taking up a lot of the turn lane already. So, I don't know. I guess I'm curious what other thoughts are as well.
Exactly. Yeah, Lee, go ahead, please.
Yeah, one pro I think I'd add to that is I've been involved in Maple Danger over the years, and there's always been some discussion about what that truck traffic on Main Street and vibrations is doing to the Maple.
Well, that's a new one. That's good information. Thank you, Lee. I hadn't heard that before. Yes, Randy Summerfield.
I think this would be a good way to go. I had a concern about the stoplights, putting stoplights on Crescent and 6th, and how that would work. But Main Street just isn't that wide. I know last year coming back from Spring Valley with the motorhome, I was hanging onto the wheel pretty tight going through Main Street and hope nobody opened up their car door. But yeah, this would make sense.
And like I say, it's a couple years out. I think what we're looking for is a sense of direction. I mean, nothing's set in stone. If we decided that we wanted to look into this and didn't work out, then there's some time spent. But we didn't want to spend time if it was just a really bad idea, I guess. Mary, go ahead, please.
as my past life as the Main Street director, I have very mixed feelings on this, and I'll expand on that. I was approached to have a conversation about getting the truck traffic off of Main Street, and at the first light, I thought, well, yeah, I want to get the truck traffic off. What I didn't realize was that we would lose the Highway 29 designation for Main Street. And so I put the brakes on my excitement, because for years and years and years, when Marilyn Ty was still alive and as the Main Street director, she and then we strove to make reasons for people to drive downtown on Main Street. It's windows, eyes on windows. You know, the windows are the eyes into the shop, and so that people would see all the cute shops that we have. I realize now that yes, we would get rid of the truck traffic, but at what cost? And the thing is, we won't know what the answer to that is unless we proceed and Main Street struggles more than it ever has. I've just got some major concerns about this, and you know, when the administration was talking about highways, you know, around Menomonie, and Lowell can attest to this, and Charlie could too if he was there. I was adamant that if we had a bypass, it had to be one that you wouldn't find yourself automatically on. That if you were going to go around Menomonie, you had to search for the bypass, exit, entrance, whatever. And I'm just really worried about this, and I'm open for discussion. My mind is, the lock isn't been locked. I just have great concern.
Thank you, Mary. You know, that's good information. That's things that we don't always think about. That's why it's up for discussion, and we don't have to act on this tonight either. We can mull this over and think about it. You know, maybe you can put some other ideas together. Get a hold of Mr. ID or myself or Mr. Prangy, and we can talk about this again another night. We certainly don't have to make a move on it this evening. Mr. ID?
If I could add, Mr. Mayor, all of Mary's concerns are, she did a good job explaining those, and for those reasons, we did bring this down to downtown Menomonie before we brought it to the council. We wanted, and they took 3 months before they came back with a recommendation to move forward. So those are tough questions, hard to answer, but we didn't want to bring it to the council without the support from downtown Menomonie. So that we're not answering your questions, Mary, but you know, we knew they were there. So.
Rylan, go ahead, please.
As it is, I take this route by default coming home from work because it has less traffic on it, and I think you'd get more of the general public driving down Main Street if there was less truck traffic there. So I think it'd be good for businesses downtown, personally. And the only concern that I have is the corner by the big main crosswalk, where you'd be turning right on back onto Crescent Street. Having that stop sign that close to that crosswalk seems like it could be an issue. Because I know, you know, in a car without driving a semi, if there's pedestrians there, it's a little bit of a confusing situation as to, you know, do you go and make them wait, or do you know, who has the right of way, and is it better to sit there while they cross? You know, that seems like that could cause problems. That's the biggest issue I see there.
Thank you, Rylan. Mary, you had your hand up a minute or two ago.
I did. Is Dustin by chance on the attendee list?
He is not, and that could be partially our bad too. We could could bring it back at a future meeting and get him here to hear exactly straight from Dustin if you wish. That's an option.
Well, I would like to hear from Dustin. One, I would like to hear his.
Derek's got his hand up, trainer.
Council, I'm going to ask if you'd like to have somebody speak, if somebody'd like to make a motion to waive the rules. Ron, go ahead, please.
I'll make a motion to waive the rules.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, very good. Derek, you're out there. Go ahead, Derek. Or Mary, go ahead.
I'll let Derek speak to my previous.
Hi, Council. This is Derek Trainer again. I was part of the downtown Menomonie meeting where we discussed this topic, and I would probably say the overwhelming majority of the folks in that meeting thought that the truck traffic that goes specifically when you're walking with your family or you're going into a restaurant was almost a deterrent. You're trying to enjoy a conversation, and an 18-wheeler comes buzzing down the street. A lot of us, and myself included, felt like it was more of a deterrent of being downtown and eating and shopping. So, I guess when I think about it and I think about that meeting, the overall feeling from the board that were there and participated in it was to move the truck traffic away from Main Street would make it more desirable to spend time with your kids, your family, and enjoy the shops and the restaurants. So I believe that was a big factor in the board. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Derek. Mary, got your hand up yet still?
Yep. I would like to know what Dustin thinks, and I'd also like to know what the state Main Street program thinks. If they're going to take traffic off of Main Street, is that, in their opinion, a good thing, a bad thing? How are they going to account for the loss of cars going past windows of businesses? How do they account for what probably will drop if people follow Highway 25? So I just have some concerns. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. And Jan?
Yes, I'm wondering if we do this and the state agrees to do this, we would be able to have signs that say downtown Menomonie straight ahead like other cities do. Is that correct?
Yes. Seeing the current dialogue that we've got going tonight, and I know we could spend a lot of time on this discussion, I think it'd be best behoove us to bring this back at a future date with Dustin here, and like Mary said, we could check with the Wisconsin Main Street program. We'd have more information, I think, queued up at a future meeting. So we got time on this. It's not pressing. So unless there's anybody else that has suggestions or comments, I think I'd just move off this issue and go on to our next piece of business.
This is Lowell. And if you do have specific questions, send them to the mayor or myself, and then we could try and get those answered ahead of the next time we bring this back to council.
Jan, you still got your hand up?
Well, I'm sorry, I tried to put it down, but no, that sounds like a very good idea. I like that very much. Give us more time for more input and more thought on this.
Very good. Thank you, Jan, and thank you everybody for the discussion. We'll bring this back in a future meeting, and we'll try to get more information in front of us. So, with that, let's keep going on to 6D, proposed solid waste fees for bulk items, disposal process, and fee schedule. And I have Megan here this evening. Megan, if you'd like to take the microphone, you can tell us what your ideas are.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your packet, there is some information about adding a service at our solid waste site for collecting bulky items, mostly furniture, so mattresses, couches, things of that nature. This is a recommendation that was discussed at the solid waste committee meetings over the past couple of months. This is by far the number one thing that I get calls on, probably 3 to 5 calls a day. People wanting to know where they can take their couch, where they can get their mattress. I have similar feedback from the attendants out at the solid waste site. There are a lot of people looking for a disposal option for these items now that the county has closed. So what we would propose is having 2 20-yard dumpsters at the solid waste site. We would collect these items during our normal operating hours at the site for the fees that are listed in your packet. If council has any questions, feel free to ask.
Great, thank you, Megan. Any council? Go ahead, Jeff Luther.
Yeah, I was at city dump on Saturday morning, and somebody had a roll of wooden snow bins and asked one of the dump attendants if it was okay to throw it in the dumpster, and he said yes. So yeah, these 20-yard dumpsters would come in handy for items like that, because it's not the first time I've seen non-household garbage put in there. Plastic garden hose reels I've seen thrown in there and stuff, so I think we do need to look at other outfits to get rid of some of that solid, stuff they're going to have to pay a small fee for, but we can't be putting all that stuff in our trash compactor.
Hey, Jeff. Anybody else have any comments or questions for Megan? Mary, go ahead, please.
I do think this is a great idea, and I do know that we have had a lot of questions and concerns about this, so I think it would make the public very happy, and I think these fees are very reasonable. So thank you for your work on this, Megan.
Thanks, Mary.
Very good. Rylan, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea as well. I know just the other day my next door neighbor asked me, where do I take this stuff that I have? And I was like, we're working on it, but I don't have a good answer for you.
Okay. I'm asked questions like that all the time, and I muddle a few words, and that's about it. Okay, anything else on that? We need a motion, direction. Let's see. What was that? A motion to approve the solid waste proposal, bulk fee item disposal process, and fee schedule. Mary, go ahead, please.
I would make a motion to approve of the City of Menomonie solid waste bulky item fees effective May 1.
Perfect. And Rylan, you had your hand up too.
I'll second Mary's motion.
Very good. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Before we vote, I think our intent was we were going to try this for a month or two and see where this went, and then also take a look at whether this is working, if fees need to be changed. We're still wondering what the county's going to do with the former transfer site, so that could play into this down the road. So this may end going through the end of the year. It could go 5 years. We just don't know for sure, depending on what happens there. So that was my comment, I think, to the council.
And we may not make May 1st, or maybe it's the next week, or
Yeah, it can be early May.
early May. So just as a
It's a little bit of a moving target, but we have to start someplace. So, motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great, thank you. And then, that brings us down to 6E, 21st Street East. That's the middle school to County Trunk J reconstruction bids. And I believe the lowest bid was at Haas.
Yep, there was a memo in the packet from Cedar Corp. Haas is the low bid.
Okay.
And we had 5 bids were received. Haas came in low bid at $745,648.80. We did get a couple questions from some of the council members. Kevin Oyam is here from Cedar Corp to dive into the questions if you have any.
Kevin, do you want to add anything to that? I know Charlie would talk for 20 minutes, but I don't know if Kevin's got anything to say. And if you do talk, kind of snuggle your microphone.
Yes, definitely keep it shorter than that. So I know there was one question that came up in regards to the cost difference from when the original application was put together here last year. Some of the reasoning for that is the scope of the project actually was downsized to some degree. There was a section from Tower Ridge Avenue to the main entrance into the middle school. Since that was resurfaced a couple years ago, we didn't see the need to tear up the asphalt again. So
I think if you see on your map, there's that section of road here that's been repaved already.
So that's some of the reason why the cost is lower than what we originally estimated. And there was, if you look at the bids themselves, quite a bit of difference between Haas and the second bidder at about $110,000. So definitely Haas was put a good number to the project as a whole. And if you remember, Haas was a contractor that did your Fifth Street project here a few years back. Very reputable company and qualified to do the work.
Good. Thank you, Kevin. Just conversing too, and remember, water and sewer is going to be up through there too, and there was some islands that was taken out. So, turning out to be a good project, I believe. Mary, got your hand up?
Who was the contractor that worked on Main Street on the east end of it that we were frustrated with?
That was
same one, Mary.
Yeah, that was Haas too.
Okay, and I mean, is this a project that can be completed before school starts?
Yeah, that's the intent. Start it right after school's done, and then finish it before school starts.
And if he doesn't get it finished by the time school starts, it's our problem? Can we put a fine, tie a fine to that per day?
We'd like to, but that doesn't always work that way with
Oh, okay.
And we do have liquidated damages in the specification, so it's so much per day after the completion date. So there is some leverage.
Okay.
With that.
Good.
You can threaten them with me putting on some coveralls and going out and driving your equipment around. That would do it. So, go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, the part of the problem Main Street was the weather. It wasn't Haas.
The weather was rainy, and we had downpours, and then there was some amenities there that that were tougher to deal with than what we anticipated. So I think, all in all, I thought they did a good job on the project. It was just a number of things that got in the way of the project. So that brings us back to the opportunity for anybody to make a motion if they would like to. Lee Schweppes?
Yeah, I'll make a motion approving the 21st Street project to the Haas and Sons.
Do we need a dollar amount in there, Ben? We need that dollar amount. What is it? 700 and go ahead, Mr. Eddie. I got it here too.
$745,648.80.
Does that sound adequate, Mr. Schweppes?
That's just what I was going to say.
I thought so too. Okay, and Jeff Luther, you had your hand up too.
I was going to second Lee's motion.
A motion's been made and seconded. Any additional discussion?
And that's upon proof of the receipt of bonding and insurance as well.
Yeah, I think that's a given. Yes.
Right, okay. Jeff, that's okay? Very good. Okay, so at that point then, a roll call vote, please.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld,
Yes.
Luther,
Yeah.
Traxler,
Yes.
Sweeney,
Yes.
Schweppes,
Yes.
Merrill,
Yes.
Solberg.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. That brings us down to 6F, appointments to various boards and commissions, including Airport Board of Review, Board of Zoning, Community Development, Historic Preservation, Park Utility, Recreation Advisory Board, and Tourism Commission, discussion and possible motion of action. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Eddie. And for the Board of Review, Vince Haig and John Svoboda, they've been on there for a long time, but they're great at the job. And then, do we need to take these individually? Can we do them all together, Lowell?
Well, I know my answer. I would say all together. I know if the city attorney agrees.
I think we've done them all together before. Okay. Just clarification. Okay, and then that brings us down to Board of Zoning. Joe Larkin, Dennis Kropp, and then we have one vacancy. So if you know of anybody that can fill that vacancy. The Community Development, Mary Heidi. Historic Preservation, we have a vacancy. We have a couple applicants for that, so we'll let you know of that in the future. Parking Utility, Lisa Ancha, so we also have another vacancy there for that. And then Tourism Commission, Grady Richards, Nick Radelsky, Keel Ravel, and we have a vacancy there, but we have somebody in mind for that. So if anybody has anybody they'd like to recommend for those vacancies, that would be appreciated also. With that, if anybody'd like to make a motion for those following appointments, that'd be great. Jeff Luther, go ahead, please.
I make a motion to approve the mayor's recommending appointments.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second? Jan Traxler, go ahead, please.
Yes, second. I'd like to second that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
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 Great, thank you. And then that brings us down to budget transfers. I didn't think we had any at the last. Nope, no budget transfers this evening. Mayor's report. Just a few things. Bird City, Wisconsin. We are doing the Bird City recognition, and the program this year, the Sustained Flight Status of Bird City, Wisconsin program, once a year again, and congratulations, City Menomonie. So we want to thank, looks like that, it's in your packet. So designation of Bird City, Wisconsin. Music over Menomonie Thursdays at 7 p.m. That's over by the Menomonie Public Library.
And we're probably going to, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, add this to a future event list just because they do put a lot of people in there. They're going to try and do social distancing and follow the guidelines, but we probably should get council endorsement on that as well.
Okay, it's starting up soon. Other than that, we've got a lot of things happening around Menomonie, the industrial park. I did talk to Mark Lewis today, who said that all of his facilities are now filled. So they're looking at expanding on one building and building an additional building. So that was great news. It's amazing what you can learn at the barber, by the way. I want to show off my new hairdo. Other than that, Mr. Heidi, do you have anything to add, or Mr. Prangy?
Just a couple of things. Again, you got a haircut because on Thursday, Joint Finance Committee's in town, and if anybody is looking for an exciting day, they can go down to the Memorial Student Center. And if they want to observe Joint Finance Committee in action, they will be in the community. We also, Ward 4, the mayor is out pounding the pavements to help see if we can find a replacement for Robin. So if you have any thoughts, I'm sure the mayor would take those, even though you do have a couple of interested parties, I think. Ward 5, we do have a new member that will be here tomorrow night, Kelly McCullough. He's also on the county board. He was a write-in candidate, I think got 8 votes. And so he has been certified in Ward 5. Lucas Chase will be here. So remember that tomorrow night we do meet at 6 o'clock, and Lucas Chase will be here for Jeff Luther. Now, that'll really screw Callie up. So Lucas, she'll be all messed up.
Hopefully his feelings don't get hurt when I forget about him.
So you guys kind of miss my sense of humor.
Yes, we will, Jeff.
Yeah.
What sense of humor?
Yeah. I just like to say, it's been a privilege and an honor to serve on the city council along with the mayor and the rest of the city staff who knows what they're doing, and there is several things that made me want to run for city council, and one of them, the main one, was getting some dredging done in our lake, reevaluating the assessments for sidewalks in existing neighborhoods, and we got that resolved. I did get pushed to get the amount of suspension time down for compliance checked, but then according to our wonderful city attorney, he says we can't do that. We got to put it back to 10 days. So, but yeah, it felt good to be a part of the city and doing great things and working with everybody down there. I can't say I'm not going to miss it, but we're going to let Lucas Chase have a chance at it. we don't like what he does over the next 2 years, maybe I'll come back.
There you go.
There you go, Jeff. That's the spirit.
Yeah.
Well, my hat goes off to both Robin and Jeff. You've been an integral part of the council, a great addition to the city. And when you're asked to serve on other committees and boards, I hope you just say yes. By the way, Jeff, I'm going to be asking you for if you want to be on the airport commission. Sorry, I didn't ask you earlier, but you can just say yes now if you'd like. His screen froze. And then Robin,
someone pick me up then for every meeting?
Sure, no problem. And then to you too, Robin, appreciate you serving in all the capacities that you have, and hope you'll continue to serve in other capacities in the future. So, great. Anything else?
So everybody else, we need everybody else tomorrow night though. So
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, be zoomed in, ready to go, or you can show up in person too. So we'll be here. The other thing is too, anything that anything that you want to serve on, boards or commissions that you feel passionate about, if you could just let us know tomorrow or reach out to us, that'd be great. We're pretty comfortable in the current slate, but however, with Robin leaving and Jeff leaving, there's a couple of voids there. So if you are thinking that you might want to serve in a different capacity, it's always nice to know ahead of time, but otherwise we can work it through tomorrow night also. So that being said, communications and miscellaneous business, Mr. Eddy?
Yeah, if I could just point out one memo, Mr. Mayor, in the packet there under communication is a memo from Paul Sturck dated April 13th, 2021. We just wanted the council to be aware that we're looking at changing the septic and holding tank charge rates we have at the wastewater treatment plant. Right now, our holding tank rate is $8.49 for 1,000 gallons. Septic waste, which is a little stronger, is at just over $114 per 1,000 gallons. We have seen a large increase in volume, mostly in the holding tank rate, coming to our plant. And on the back of the memo, Paul Sturck did some research on what other communities are charging. And there seems to be a tendency to go to a flat rate right now, and we are going to go to a flat rate of $75 per 1,000 gallons. I'm not saying anybody's doing anything unintentional or intentional, but it is an honor system. You just declare what you have, and then you pay that rate. We don't sample it on those holding tanks, so it's just easier for us to manage it if it's one rate for what's being delivered there. And so we just wanted you to be aware of it. We may get a little pushback from the community, but we're trying to put ourselves on the same level with other communities at this time, and not to be the taker of all the septic waste in all these counties around us at this point. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. If you have any questions, Paul Sturck's in attendance, but we're available, Paul or myself, if you have any questions on that. We'd love to talk to you offline, if that's the case, or now if you wish, but primarily offline, I guess.
Great. That's good information. Anyways, any other communications or miscellaneous business? Council, if you want to bring anything up, good time to do it. Okay, I don't see anything. Okay, that takes us down to claims. If you want to pay the bills, there's a revised claims list in front of you. Jan, go ahead, please.
I move that we accept the revised claims list.
Okay, motion's been made by Jan. Is there a second to that motion? Mary, you got your hand up?
I will second Jan's motion.
Very good. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Sommerfeld?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Draxler?
Yes.
Sweeney?
Yes.
Schwebs?
Yes.
Merrill?
Yes.
Solberg?
Yes.
Erdman?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The normal license list? Is there not a revise. Okay, it is the one in the pack, so it's just the normal license list. Anybody like to approve that? We could do so now. Jan, you got your hand up?
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't take it down.
Oh.
Yes, I'd like to approve the normal license list. I move that we do that.
Very good. Thank you, Jan. Is there a second to that motion? Mary, you get your hand up?
And I will second Jan's motion.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Yes, Ryland, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I know that just this last Friday, I started hearing from neighbors again about the races, and so I'm gonna have to vote no on their beer license, just out of respect for my neighbors.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of said licenses signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Okay, duly noted. Then we go down to the license B10B request by Tom Joe's Incorporated DBA Tom Joe's Bar to surrender a Class B beer and Class B liquor license pending issuance to TJ Tavern LLC DBA Tom and Joe's Bar at 1401 Taylor Street. Discussion on possible motion approving. Yeah, and I think Peter is on tonight. That if we need to ask him any questions or otherwise, he's out there. So he's the new owner of Tom and Joe's Bar. Otherwise, we can approve it and keep moving. Anybody want to take on 10B? Jeff,
I'll
what
take
please?
it on.
Okay.
That's my favorite watering hole. So I'll make a motion approving the request by Tom and Joe's Inc. DBA Tom and Joe's Bar to surrender a Class B beer and Class B liquor license pending issuance to TJ Tavern LLC DBA Tom and Joe's Bar at 1401 Taylor Street.
Okay, thank you, Jeff Luther. Is there a second to that motion? Go ahead, Robin.
I second Jeff's motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any additional discussion? Okay, okay, all in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great, thank you. No closed session for that tonight, and don't forget tomorrow night to be here at 6 o'clock or be zoomed in. And, you know,
The mayor will be calling you.
yeah, and don't be shy, you know, give me a call. If you get a chance, give Randy Idy or Lowell or myself a call and go take a tour down through the Public Works facility and some other buildings around town. Menomnie's got a great lot to offer. So thank you, everybody, for tonight's meeting. It went well. Be safe out there. Congratulations, Jeff Luther and Robin. Until you serve in the next capacity, you're off the hook. So thank you, everybody. We need a motion to adjourn. Nate, you got your hand up? Oh, wait. Jeff Luther, you got your hand up.
My last chance to adjourn.
Okay, a motion made to adjourn by Jeff Luther. Is there a second to that motion? Robin, you got a motion. You got your hand up.
I'll second Jeff's motion.
Way to go!
Okay, motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Sorry, Nate. Next time, maybe.
No problem. Yeah, they should. They deserve it. They deserve it. Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everybody, and thank you.
Thank you.
Wrong.